Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. Alright, so if you went all the way back to the Pokemon anime, you see that one episode with Blame where Magmar almost literally sends Pikachu off the stage into the lava of death? Well, it's that good in the main series, it's that good in the anime, but unfortunately it's absolute garbage in Pokemon Go. However, what's really funny is this really, I don't know, what is this? This really big eyebrowed fire-breathing, I don't even know what to call it, is actually one of the strongest save switches in the Love Cup. Now, what makes it interesting is that Magmar is pretty much a glass cannon. It has high attack, very low defense and stamina. Like I said, high attack, low defense and stamina means it's a glass cannon. It's going to hit really hard. However, it's not going to take a lot of damage. Now, the thing about in the Love Cup, it actually does a decent amount of resistances. You resist Fairy Fire, so you resist the Charmers. You resist Fire as well, so Charizard's Blast Burns, etc., Fire Spins. You resist Grass, so Shadow Razor Leaf Vileplume or Razor Leaf Charm isn't going to do much against you. You also resist Ice, Steel, and Bug, so Pure Fire actually has a lot of benefits. You won't see a lot of Ground or Rock types in this meta either. There's a chance you will see Water because of Milotic and because of Alomomola, but other than that, you probably won't see a lot of Magmar's weaknesses. That's why Fire is pretty safe inside the Love Cup, because you don't see a lot. Now, Magmar can actually get a return. It came out Shadow once, and you can actually purify to get a Return Magmar. Now, you need Return Magmar to actually make it work. Without Return, unfortunately, Magmar is just another useless Pokemon. Well, not completely useless, it's just not that great. Thanks to the Karate Chop buff, you could get your charge moves quickly. It has Fire Punch, Flamethrower, and Fire Blast, and also Return if you have a Purified version. Remember, for this video, you need the Purified version. Don't even think about bringing a Magmar without being Purified and without Return. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It is going to suck because you will not have the moveset you need to cover a lot of things. Alright, so here's the ppoke.com rankings. As you see here, Magmar ranks at number 43. Here's the crazy thing though. If you go to its rankings overall, or not 43, it actually ranks at number 30. But if you look at its rankings overall, it's actually one of the most powerful switches in the game. And it's nuts, because the reason why it's one of the most powerful switches is purely because it has Return. As you see here, you have very strong matchups against Wigglytuff, Clefable, Shadow Vileplume, Lickitung, and Scizor. So this thing is kind of the anti-Tap Tapper to like the entire team, or to the entire Love Cup meta. As you see here, one of the most powerful switches, you will take shields with Return, and because it has Karate Chop, as you see here, with Karate Chop, it'll let you gather energy so fast that you can get to Return it gets to Return really quickly. As you see here, Magmar is actually on the same rating as Lickitung XL. So, if you have a Return Magmar, that could be a spicy safe switch, because it's incredibly powerful as a switch. Now, you want to use that as a safe switch. As you see, Magmar isn't super powerful in the other positions. However, as I mentioned, it's incredibly powerful as a switch. There's a lot of things you can do. If you fire the Return through, you can take back switch. If you don't fire the Return through, then you're going to grab shields for sure. Otherwise, they just die. Alright, here's the ppoke.com rankings. As I always say, please consider donating ppoke.com. So I have Magmar Return right here. I also have it with Fire. I also have it with if you don't have it. Actually, here, let me reset it real quick. I'm gonna redo it real quick. We'll do Magmar with Return, and we're gonna do Magmar without Return. So do Magmar without Return. So we're gonna give Fire Blast, Fire Punch. Actually, let me flip that upside down. Fire Blast. There you go. Fire Blast, Fire Punch. Then we're going to get the 2 shield. There's the Love Cup meta. Then I'll hit Battle. So we have the 2 shield right here. As you see in the 2 shield, you do really bad. So, the only thing you were like convincingly beat is Sunny Charm. But as you see here, you're going to force some shield. If you land a Return, which is pretty much where your bases is, if you can land one Return, as you see here, it pretty much does a ton of damage. So The reason why Magmar is good with return or taking switch is literally because of return. So you need a lot of return. As you see in the 2 shield, it loses against a lot of things except for Sunny Churum. Your basic thing is to hit the return with it. Try to land through shields and hit the return. If they don't shield the return, you basically can take back switch. And the 1 shield, things get a little dicier, as you see here. You beat the Charmers, you also beat Vileplume, Slowbro, Lickitung, and you also beat Sunny Churum. Except you lose against a lot of other things. Again, you kind of have to, like, return through shields. Because of this, Magmar is kind of unreliable. Yes, it's a great safe switch, but it's still heavily reliant on them not shielding that return. Because you only use... Now, the zeros where things get interesting. As you see in the zeros, with return, you actually are able to flip Charizard. You don't flip a lot of matchups. Like I said, you have to return. The big problem with Magmar, it's super squishy, as you see here. There's a lot of instances where you won't actually get to it. But if you do gather energy, you should be able to KO a lot of things as long as you have the energy for return. This is what makes Magmar really hard. It's a very gambly mon because you kind of have to land return for most of the scenarios for it to be really, really good. In the 1-0s, as you see here, ideally you'd want to be in the 1-0s. As you see here, you're able to do a lot of damage. So, but depending on, as you see here, return can also like cause you to lose. With return, you lose against Medicham XL compared to Power Blast, and that's it. So you pick up 2 matchups instead. In the 2-0s, here's what Magmar does. Magmar doesn't beat Magcargo, it doesn't beat Milotic, it doesn't beat Alomola. So all the water types in the game you'll lose against, and you can still lose against Rock Throw users, like Smackdown Crustle and Magcargo. And the 2-1s, unfortunately, it's not that different as well, as you see here. In the 2-1s, you do beat a lot of matchups. However, you still lose against water types. You still lose against the Rock Throws, which are Rock Throw / Smackdown users, which is Crustle. And Magmotor, you also lose against Medicham XL, so that's with shield advantage. Again, in order for Magmar to be effective, you need to essentially return through shields, or be effective, throw them, and get some baits before you can land a big return. So you noticed I ran through that matrix kind of quickly. That's because Magmar is actually I would say a 7 out of 10. The problem with Magmar is that with return, it's so heavily reliant on you actually being able to land that return. If you land return, most likely you're going to get switch or you will grab shields. That's the good thing about Magmar. Here's the bad thing about Magmar. You see water, you die. You see fighters, you die. You see rocks, and even Shadow Razor Leafers with shields, you will die. It's that simple. With the issue with Magmar's heavy reliance, yes, you generate energy quickly with Karate Chop, but you need to be able to land a return on a lot of scenarios. As you see, that's the reason why as shields go down, Magmar actually gets better, because you can land that return. Except for the zeros, where Magmar is very dangerously weak. If you do have the 1-0s, though, as you see here, in the 1-0s, which is your best scenario, you can take out a majority of the meta, except some fighters, water types, and, of course, Crustle. So, just because return isn't going to KO it. So, as you see here, you need, kind of have shield advantage, or you need to be able to just nuke return. It's heavily unreliant, just because you can see whether or not a Magmar is purified or not. So, if it's purified, 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to shield, unless you do happen to have land return, which is huge. But that's what really limits Magmar. It's able to take switch if you're going to take switch or shield if you have return. However, if you're trying to take switch, and you need to take switch, it's very heavily reliant on you landing return. Other than that, Magmar generates energy quickly with Karate Chop, and Fire Punch allows you to bait. It has a very great move pool. The issue is, it needs to be purified, it needs to have return, and you need to be able to hit that return in a lot of scenarios, otherwise you will lose. That's why I rate Magmar so low. I had someone ask me, can you do Magmar? Because on pvpoke.com, it said it was a powerful switch. The question is, it is a powerful switch. However, you need to land that return if you're going to win switch, or you're going to take a shield. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. I would love to give Magmar a high rating. Unfortunately, that's just what it is. It's so heavily reliant on return that I can't give it a high rating. Higher than like a 7. Because it still does really good against some other things. However, like I said, it's not a super reliable mod in other positions, and it's only really great as a switch. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.